When you come work at Willie's for the first time, the one thing we're tell you right off the bat in your first few days is that things come in groups. You won't see something for years, and suddenly two of them arrive on the same day. And I'm segueing now into this, which is we have two ES 150s. So the Gibson ES 150 started life in the 40s as a $150 guitar, and it was basically their most basic. It wasn't a student guitar, but it was their most basic professional level guitar, using always the finest woods. They made their own plywood. There's a great video out there, if you look it up, from 1967 of Gibson kind of touting all the stuff they do, including showing how they're making their own plywood that they made especially for their laminated guitars. The ES 175, the 335, the ES 125, the ES 150, all of those guitars, the ES 350T, were made of laminated plywood that they did in-house. So they didn't go, ring, ring, hello, plywood store. A 150 is a bigger guitar, and I have two of them that came in, but here I have actually this. This is a 125. The 125 was $125. In the day, that was a lot of money. You can multiply that by 10 and to get a current thing. So it's about $1,100, $1,200 in today's money, which I doubt they could do that for these. And that's the other thing about these older vintage guitars, is you can't recreate these. The intrinsic value, what it would cost you to make a guitar just like this. Now you can go to China and make one shaped like it, but to get this kind of quality where you have Brazilian rosewood boards, you have finishes that don't have any plasticizers in it, you have this custom made wood, you have all this old Honduran mahogany in the necks, they're hand carved. There's just no way to make a guitar like this for under $5,000. It's not. And I encourage you to challenge me on that and go to a custom shop and have someone make one for you. That's why these become such a great investment, I think, these days. Someone recently asked me about, I've got like $3,000 to $5,000 to spend and I want to get into the vintage market. Those days are going away because new guitars are going up in value. You can see it, and it's not greed, it's wood supply. It's getting harder and harder to find wood. There used to be guys that would have garages full of old wood. That stuff's gone. It's all drying up, and they're not allowing the cutting down ancient trees anymore. And so these are the golden era for this. Now, the 125 was a 16-inch guitar. The 150 is a 17-inch guitar, and by 17-inch, it is this way across. Now, who cares, right? The 17-inch will give you a bigger bass response. A 17-inch guitar will give you a little more wallop at the bottom end, that thunk at the bottom end. So you got that. There was an inch bigger. And then you typically got a laminated guard where you had a single layer pick guard. With that, some 125s later on had the crown inlay as they're trying to rationalize the extra $25. And some 150s had a pearl logo too. So they, instead of a decal, like these both are, they would have that pearl logo inlaid into the headstock. And some 150s, like I said, had the larger inlay. These are earlier ones, and this one has the tapered headstock. These are great guitars. I'm just going to strum a few chords on the 150. And we're going through this 1967 Magnetone. So my friends at Magnetone have been reaching out to me. I'm hoping they're going to send us a little history of Magnetone so we can all follow along. We've been long friends with the guys at Magnetone that started Magnetone. All right, I'm going to take off that swirly thing. This is cool about Magnetones. It used to be not that long ago that you couldn't fix an old Magnetone because you needed the capacitor, that's not what it's called, but to make that swirly thing. They had to re-engineer it, and the new Magnetones do it really well. These are still well-made amplifiers. They're hand-wired, single 12, about 20 watts or so. It's competing with the Deluxe. So here we are, the volume's on 10, the tone is up all the way on 10, although not everybody played it like that. And then don't forget, as you change strings, you may want to adjust these pole pieces. You're going to adjust those pole pieces as you look here at the end of the fretboard. You'll see the curve of the fingerboard. You keep that in mind as you're adjusting your pole pieces. Flat wounds you may need to adjust a little more, lifting the bass side up. With round wounds, just the opposite. These both have flat wounds. You can roll off the bass a little bit. Tone up. That nice woody flat sound that you hear on so many 40s and 50s records. And that comes from the deeper body. The 17-inch body gives this really round, woody sound. The P90 is perfectly placed by a harmonic. And that would be the virtual 24th fret. And this one, again, these earlier ones are tapered headstock, up till about 52. You can tell a pre-52 guitar because it has a tapered headstock. It's skinny here, it's fat there. And again, that brings down at a greater angle. Nobody does that I know of except for Collings these days, who take the time to taper off the headstock. You woodworkers can imagine what a big pain in the butt that would be, especially to make a nice uniform taper. This is a slightly later. They did make the 125s even in the 40s. This is a 59. Now, a 59 is going to have the bigger frets. That's the first year, the slightly larger frets, and not quite as big a neck. To a lot of people, the 59 is the perfect neck. This is a 16-inch, 1-inch shorter body. And again, I'm having the volume and tone at the same spot. The ES125 and the ES150, the 150s are much rarer. Frankly, it was a lot of money. Got into the 150 and the next step up was a 175 with one pickup, and that had a cutaway. So you don't see a lot of 150s. The reason you might want a 150 over an ES125 is because of the thump. They did discontinue it by the mid-50s and went straight with the 125 and the cutaway guitars. And then, of course, as bands got bigger by the late 50s, the guitars got skinnier. So there, I'll let you see the difference in the sizes here. You can see this is 16-inch, this is 17-inch. The sides themselves are about the same, although I believe this is about 1/8 of an inch thicker, and it's all about the volume and the oomph that it produces. There you go. Thanks for spending time with us today.